All right, well, we'll go through adjectives here. So this is actually chapter 9. In your notes, it says chapter 7 at the top, but that's because I'm a basket case. So forgive me. It's chapter 9. So we'll start with English, kind of what we've been doing. So I know Justin's kind of been starting with the English language and then working from English to Greek. But the adjectives, there's three types of adjectives in English. So you have attributive, substantival, and predicate adjectives. So what does an adjective do? Yeah, good. Modifies a noun or another adjective, right? And they're very helpful for language, right? If I say the man gave a gift, that could mean like a whole lot of things, right? But if I said the poor man gave a costly gift, now all of a sudden you have a lot more clarity on what's going on there, right? So that the language adjectives provide clarity to things that are very important. So we're going to see that today. We're going to look at some translations at the end of the class. Okay. All right. So three different types. The first type is an attributive adjective. Okay. Attributive adjective. So an attributive adjective gives the attribute or quality of the noun it modifies. The term that it modifies is called the head term. You'll hear that sometimes. The head term is the noun that's being modified by the adjective. That's the term there. So like Justin is a teacher. That might not be that encouraging, right? But Justin is a good teacher. That's a lot more encouraging, right? So that's where the language is helpful there. So that's an attributive adjective. It tells us an attribute about the noun. Okay. Substantival, a substantival adjective is an adjective that has substance, right? In other words, it's functioning as a noun. So you have an adjective that's functioning as a noun, out with the old, in with the new, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Those are substantival nouns. Substantival adjectives. They're functioning as nouns. Okay. And the third one is a predicate adjective. Predicate adjectives tell the reader something about the subject. And it's always used with a being verb, whether it's written or implied. Okay. So you see the verbs of being, is, am, are, was, were, those being verbs. God is good. Man is depraved. Okay, so those are predicate adjectives. The reason why they call them predicate is because they usually come after the verb, whether the verb is implied or not. They come after the verb and they describe or they functionally point back to the subject and give you clarity on the subject. Okay? So God is good, man is depraved, etc. Okay? So far so good? Those are the three types of adjectives? It's not complex, but it kind of gets weird here. Okay, so the adjectival endings in Greek follow the noun endings. Okay, so if you've memorized your case endings on the chart for the nouns, that actually is a one-to-one correlation with your adjectives. Okay, we've learned the noun endings already. And adjectives match the nouns they modify in case, number, and gender. Okay, so word order in English is super important, right? If I say the good man, you know that good modifies man because it comes before the word man, right? But in Greek, it doesn't work like that. You can take the words and sort of play Yahtzee with them and mix them all up. So the way you know which adjective is modifying which noun is by following the endings. You follow the case endings. Okay. So I just put the chart for the endings there. It's directly out of Mounts. It's with the word agathos, which is just the word good. Okay. So same endings, like you see the nominative singular masculine, agathos, right? Nominative feminine singular, agathe, agathon. Okay, so those are your endings that are the endings you would expect because those match the nouns. Okay.
But these are all the adjectives or just all the endings or just the adjective good.
Just the adjective good, yes. This is just the word good and all the ways that it can be used, yeah. So you have singular at the top, plural at the bottom, nominative, genitive, dative, and accusative, and then you have masculine, feminine, and neuter. That's kind of how that's laid out, and that's just the word good. So here's what's helpful with that. It helps. So this is actually a very helpful thing in terms of biblical language. It's very precise. This is actually really helpful. Greek is a very precise language. We know exactly what's being said. Now, there could be nuances, right? But the precision of the language is actually incredibly helpful because it tells us, oh, this is how these things connect together. I see where these things are going. Okay? So it's very helpful that way. So you see the endings. If you haven't, don't worry. But if you've memorized the endings of the of the nouns, your noun endings, your noun declensions, then you'll already have all the adjectives done. You don't have to do anything with that. Just start watching for those same exact endings. Okay, same pattern, same endings. Okay? Any questions on this so far? Okay, so how do we recognize an adjective? What kind of an adjective it is? Okay. Oh, didn't I meet you at the Goldstein Bar Mitzvah last year? No, I'm just kidding. How do you recognize an adjective? Okay. Well, the way we do this, the way to recognize an adjective or which function the adjective is performing in Greek is to look for the article. Okay. What's an article? The. Good. Yep. Okay, so that article actually is our signal. Okay, that's the little flag in Greek that tells us what's happening. So there's two. This is just vocab for free here. An anarthrous adjective has no article. Anarthrous. So I don't know why we have to make big words. Just say there's no article, but that's what we do. We make big words and make it confusing. Okay, so anarthrous is a non-articular adjective. Okay, an articular adjective has the article. So articular or anarthrous are the two words that we're going to use. Okay, articular, it sounds like it should be that, but then anarthrous, I don't know where that comes from. But I mean, clearly it comes from English. But those two are the two words that mean those two things. Okay. So how do we recognize which type of adjective it is? So we're going to go through some steps about addressing this. Okay. If the article is present, okay, if you have the article, the adjective is either attributive or substantival, guaranteed. Okay. It is not a predicate adjective. It is either attributive or substantival. Okay. So an attributive adjective can take two positions. Okay. First position on an attributive adjective is immediately before. Okay. So in the parentheses there, do you see that at the bottom of the page in the parentheses? Ha, agathos, anthropos. What does that mean? The good man. Okay. You guys see that? Ha, the, agathos, adjective, good, anthropos, man. Okay, so the good man. Make sense? Okay, so that is an attributive position, but it can also be in the second position. See the second one? What's in the parentheses there? Someone read that for me. In parentheses, second attributive position. Yeah, agathos. Yeah, good. Okay, now what do you notice? How many articles are there? Two. Okay, so they're both articular in this case. So if you look at the first attributive position, you have the articular adjective and an anarthrous noun. That's attributive. Okay. If you have articular noun and adjective with the adjective following, that is always an attributive as well. Okay, so that's first and second position. Okay, if you flip the page, an articular adjective and articular noun are never joined in direct order. Okay, now this doesn't make sense, but it does when you think about how they're trying to use the adjectives in Greek. Someone read what's in the parentheses there. Good, yeah, good. So ha, agathos, ha, anthropos. So now you have the good, the man. Greek never functions like that. Okay? An attributive adjective will either be an anarthrous noun with an articular adjective, or they'll reverse the order and you'll have articular noun, articular adjective. But they'll never do it in this way. Articular adjective, articular noun. They never do that. Okay? Just a rule to memorize. Now, you don't have to worry about what you don't see, right? You'll never see this. So you don't have to worry about what you don't see. Just worry about what you see when you're translating, okay? If the article is present, so this is step 2. So first thing, you look for the article. If the article is present, then you say, okay, it's either attributive or substantival, okay? If the article is present, but no noun is present to modify, the term is being used to represent something. That is substantivally, okay? So you have a substantival usage. So you have an adjective that's just sitting there with an article, but there's no noun attached to it, right? Now, there could be other nouns in the sentence, but for example, if you have a nominative masculine plural, and you don't have any nominative masculine plural nouns around it, then you know that it must be functioning substantively, okay? So in this case, see the example? Ha agathos by itself is the good. And the noun is actually just implied, right? So in Greek, you don't have to say the good man necessarily. If he's talking about a man, right? If, let's say, for example, Jesus is talking about a man and he says the good, he means the good man, right? But you don't have to use the noun because the noun is kind of contained inside of the adjective substantively. Okay? Make sense? Now we do this in English too, but we just don't notice it as much. Okay? So the noun is implied in the substantival case. Okay, so we have articular and substantival. Attributive and substantival. Now look at step 3. Okay, if the noun is articular, but the adjective is not. Okay, the adjective is a predicate adjective. If you have the article on the noun but not on the adjective, it's actually a predicate adjective. Okay, it's that being verb, the to be verb, the is, am, are, those. Okay, so the first predicate position is anarthrous and immediately before the articular noun. Okay, so someone read what's in the parentheses there. Someone else who hasn't read yet. Good. Agathos, ha, anthropos. So agathos, no article, right? Just good. And then ha, anthropos. Okay? The man. So good the man. So you can just natural reading, good the man, what are we saying? Good man. The good man, or actually the man is good. Good the man, right? The man is good. That's what's being communicated there in the language. Does that make sense? So that's a predicate adjective. The second predicate position is anarthrous and immediately after, okay? The articular noun. So again, ha, anthropos, agathos. The man, good. The man is good. Okay, so that's anarthrous. There's no article on your adjective. If you don't see an article on your adjective, it is always a predicate adjective. Okay, so you can always count on that, which is super helpful. Okay, now, last but not least, if no article is present, right, agathos, anthropos, no article on the noun or the adjective, the translator must use context to decide. Okay? And just because you don't have a verb, ami is the verb to be, just because you don't have the being verb that's included is not an indicator that the adjective is attributive. You can't you remove the ami, it doesn't, or the to be verb, doesn't necessarily mean that it's attributive. It could still be a predicate adjective. Okay? So look at the example there. Okay? Anthropos agathos, or agathos anthropos, can be translated as a good man or a man is good, depending on the context. Okay? But you notice without the article, like ha anthropos, right? The man, that's one man. That's directed toward one, right? But without the article, without the ha in front, you just have anthropos. It just means a man, right? So it's much more general, which is helpful to see that distinction. Okay? Clear as mud? So here's what's complex about this. This is why it's hard. This is why it can be challenging. If you knowing these rules is helpful, right? When you're translating, you actually when you start to get the vocab under your belt, you actually don't notice this as much. You're not thinking all the time about that. You're just sort of seeing it and flowing with it. In longer sentences, you just know what's going on. You can kind of tell what's going on by the context. So as long as you know the idea that articular nouns, articular adjectives exist, you usually can sort of piece together what the translation is, even if you don't know the specific rules that are tied to adjectives. Okay, so let's go through the vocab here, and then we'll do some spot translations. Okay, so the first one there is agathos. We've used that extensively. It means good or useful. In Greek, in modern Greek, it means gullible, which is interesting. But in the old world, it means good, right? So sometimes good people are gullible, right? Okay, agapetos, right? It is beloved. Okay, agapetos, and you hear the word. What's the root word there? Agape, right? So love. So agapetos is just a nounal form of that word, just means beloved. Okay? All right, so now what we're going to do is read them aloud, and we'll just go around the room, and everyone can try. Okay. Next one, Will, you want to start? Yeah. Ionios. Good. Eternal. Ionios. AI is that diphthong. O is the omega. Nu. Eos. Ionios, right? Is eternal. Okay. Good. Next one, Emily. Yeah, alelon. Alelon. One another, right? All the one another's in the New Testament, you see this word all the time. Love one another, right? That alelon is that word in Greek, and it just is one word. It means to one another, to each other. Okay. Okay. Next one, Sue. You want to do it? Good. Apokrithe. See that? Ape, and then K, the kappa rho, and then the iota, and then the theta, and the eta. So you have apokrithe. Okay? And it is just he or she or it answered. It's actually a verb, but it's just a simple form of a verb that shows up all the time. So in the dialogues with Christ and the Pharisees, it'll say, the Pharisee said, and he answered, and that word is used over and over again. Okay, so it's just a marker of conversation, a conversation marker. It's like the word said. We don't often decline the word said, we just use it, right? But that's a word that's being used here. Okay? Next one, Richard, go ahead. Oh, it's actually a delta there. Yeah. It's a doulos. Yeah. So the OU elides, it's a diphthong, and you get the word oo, right? So doulos, that's slave, right? So that's when Paul says, I'm a slave of Christ. That's the word doulos, okay? So it shows up. My brother-in-law always wanted to get a tattoo doulos because he thought that'd be cool, but whatever. Anyway, it's odd that that's become a thing. But anyway, okay, next one. Joe, good? Yeah, actually, no rough breathing there. That one's the other direction, right? So it's aeon, okay, which is if or when. That's used in like a logical order, like logical concessive thought processes. That word shows up a lot. Aeon. Okay. Next one. Will, you get 3. Amos. Good. Keep going. Yeah, do all 3 of them. Oh no. I'm sorry. The 3 words that are good. Amon. Yes, good. Yeah, remember the Omicron? We want to say O. We always tend to try to say O, but it's the ah sound. So amos, eme, and amon, right? Which is just the word mine. And 3 different ways to say mine. My children would be pleased. Okay, next one. Emily, go ahead. Entole. Yeah, that eta, right? Entole or entoles is commandment, right? It's law, commandment. Okay. So you next one? Kathos. Yeah, very good. Perfect. You get that a lot. Again, that's one of those words that shows up in logical flow of thought. Just as, even as. So Paul uses that word constantly because he's so rational, right? He uses this word a lot. Kathos. Okay? Richard, you want to try the next one? It's close. Very good. It's kakos. Okay? Kakos, which is bad or evil. Ironically. That's one of those words that may or may not have some transliteration, right? Kakos, it means bad or evil. Okay, and that, again, that shows up all over the place. Joe, go ahead, next one. Mu, good, is my, right? Mu. Muhiu, my son, right? So that word shows up all the time. Good. Will, next one? Necros, good. That's dead or a dead body or corpse, right? Necros. We get that word, right? Necrosis is death of tissue, right? So that's a direct transliteration into English. Okay, next one. Yeah, pistos, which means faithful or believing. Okay, this is interesting. In Titus 1:6, it says that elders should have children who are pistos. So some people say all your kids have to be believers. We would say all your kids have to be faithful. And Paul defines that afterwards. He says they're not accused of dissipation or rebellion, right? So that word shows up and it becomes translational, important translationally, okay? So pistos, good. Next one? Yeah, very good. Good job. Yeah, it's hard. Paneros. Okay. Yeah. I know you don't you don't expect it. Paneros. Okay, which means evil or bad also, right? So they have lots of words for evil and bad. Paneros. Okay. And then Richard, you want to try that next one? Yeah, very good, very good. It's protos. Yeah. So you got the pi rho omega. So that's pro and then tos as the ending there, right? Which means first. Protos, right? Protos or proton, first. Okay. And that word shows up. Remember 2 Thessalonians. It says the man of lawlessness will not be revealed unless the apostasy comes protos, first. Okay, so it's like interesting in the order of sequential order there. There's a lot of debate over what that means. Okay, and then last one, good. Tritos, good. So that's third, right? So protos, tritos, those that you get like that the ordinal numbers that way. Okay, so you get the statements there. Okay, so that's your vocab for this chapter. Adjectives. Let's do some translation. Okay. This I gave you 5 translations that have some adjectival purpose. Okay, so we're going to go through these. Okay, the first one, Matthew 12:35. We have A and B. Okay, so what's our first words there? Yeah. Okay. Good. So just read the first 3 words in Greek for me.
Agathos, anthropos.
Good. Ha, agathos, anthropos. Right. So we already know what that is. What is that? The good man. Now, so our noun is anarthrous. There's no article in front of our noun, anthropos, right? But our adjective is articular, which tells us what type of adjective is it? Attributive. Yes, very good, very good, very good. Yes, good, good, good. Okay, so what is he saying? He's saying the good man, right? Okay, so the good man, and ek there is from. That's the word from, okay? So the good man from, okay, now we have another one, right? Someone read the next 3 words for me. This one's hard, a little harder. Just try. If you make mistakes, it's fine. Good. Close. Very good, very good. Don't forget, when it looks like a P, it's an R. Okay? All right, so to, that's T-O-U, so that's a diphthong. To agathu, okay? Good. So you know that word again. It's just got a different ending, okay? To agathu thesauru, okay? So what is that? It's the good treasure, okay? So the good man from the good treasure, and then you have ekbale. That's our verb, okay? It means to bring forth or to cast out or to throw out, right? Balo is the word that's used for throwing, and ek is from, so throw from or bring forth from, okay? So ekbale, and then agatha. What is that? Actually, no. Good. Yes, very good. Okay. So notice what he's doing here, right? You guys remember this verse? I mean, you read it 100 times, right? The good man from his good treasure brings forth what is good. Hey, what is Jesus talking about? He's talking about our hearts, right? He's saying from what's inside, he brings out what's good because there's already goodness inside of him. Okay? Make sense? Good. Okay, let's do this next half of the verse, okay? Kai, you guys know that word. That was a vocab word. What is that? And, very good, yeah. Kai. Okay, so now someone read me the next 3 words. Yes. Anthropos. Yes, very good. Okay. Ha, paneros, anthropos. Now, we just learned that vocab word. We know anthropos, that's man, right? What's paneros? Evil, bad. Yes, very good. So, and the evil man, okay, ek, so from, and then to paneru thesauru, okay? So, from the evil treasure or the evil storehouse, right? Good? You guys see that? And then ekbale, and then ponera, evil, right? So what's Jesus saying? He's saying there's only two kinds of people in the whole world, right? You have good people, and from the good storehouse inside of them, they bring forth what is good. You have evil people, from the evil storehouse inside of them, they bring forth what is evil. Okay? All attributive adjectives. Super helpful. Make sense? Okay. All right, let's do this next one. Okay. Okay, Matthew 23:9. Okay. Ace is just the word one. Okay. And gar is the word for. Okay. We did that. That should have been a vocab word like 3 weeks ago. So gar. So ace, gar, estin. Now that's the verb is. Okay. So now Greek sometimes puts the first word second. It's called postpositive. Justin talked about that a few weeks ago. So ace, gar is actually for one. So for one is humon. Humon is your. Okay, so that's that possessive pronoun. So es, gar, estin, humon. For one is your. Okay, now we have our adjective here, our adjective and our noun. Okay, so someone read these next 4 words for me. Someone give it a try. Emily, you want to try it? Okay, go ahead. Okay, good, very good. Yes. Okay, so we have ha, pater. What do you think pater is? Father, right? And then ha again, second articular, uranios, okay, which means heavenly, of the heavens, okay? Ha pater, ha uranios, okay? Now, what kind of an adjective is that? Both articular? And you have a postpositive or the after adjective. Yeah, very good. Okay? Make sense? Okay, so look at your step 1, okay? So you have the second attributive position is after the noun and is articular. Okay, so ha anthropos, ha agathos is the good man, right? So in this case, if you just look at the translation, for one is yours, ha pater, ha uranios. So the noun is first, and both of them have the article, so that's an attributive. It's in the attributive position. Okay? So this translation, why I say careful in parentheses, is because what he's actually saying is, for one is your Father, right? The Heavenly Father. That's what he's saying. Okay? So it's the Heavenly Father is one idea or one thought. It's kept to itself. Okay? Make sense? Okay, next one. Someone try to read this for me. Anyone? Try it, so it's good for you. Yes! Moscon. Good, that's fine, good. Yes. Yes, C two-ton. Good. Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, so Luke 15. Do you remember what's happening in Luke 15 near the end of Luke 15? It's the story of 2 sons, right? The prodigal son, and these are the words of the father. Okay? So he says, and bring out. He's commanding his servants, bring out, and then we have this noun and adjective together. Okay, so what is this? Ton moskon. What do you think that is? You'd think it's the calf. Okay, the calf, and then ton situton. Okay, the fattened calf. Okay. Okay, so bring out the fattened calf. Now, what kind of an adjective is that? Yeah, attributive, exactly. It's our first type, right? You have articular, you have noun, adjective. So the calf, the fattened one. Okay, so which calf am I supposed to bring out, sir? The fat one, right? That's literally, right? Yeah, not the skinny one. Okay, does that make sense? And that's normal language, because in ancient cultures, that's what you would do. You would fatten one animal for like a very special occasion, right? So you give a lot of extra food to this one cow so the meat tastes really good. All the rest of the cows just, they wander around. Wagyu, exactly. That's literally what this is. Exactly. Okay? Good? Make sense? Okay, one more, and then I'll give you your homework here. Titus 1:6. I told you about this one, right? So tekna is just the word children. Okay? Ekon is the verb to have, but it's a participle, but that's fine. Having. So having children, so the verb comes after the noun, right? Having children, but now we have an adjective. Pista. What word is that? Faithful, right? Or believing. Okay, now what noun is pista modifying? Children, tekna. Okay, so the verb splits up our noun and adjective. Very annoying. It makes it very, very difficult, right? But how do we know that those two are being modified? Yeah, same ending. You have that same ending. So that your noun and your adjective are having the same ending. Even though the verb splits it, you know that those two modify each other. Okay? Because you see that those endings. The tekna. So do you see tekna? And then you see pista at the end, right? They are. The ah and the ah.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, no. Different words, but different endings. The suffix changes. Yeah. Okay, so tekna ekon pista. Children having faithful, right? So what he's saying is a man is above reproach if children having are faithful. The children that he has are faithful. That's the picture. That's the language that's being used there. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, so this is super helpful. You can pick that out. Now, what type of adjective is that? They're both anarthrous. No article is present. Huh? Yes, very good. It could be attributive, right? You could say having faithful children, or it could be having children who are faithful. So it's a predicate, okay? I would take the predicate side of it. They're almost the same, right? They're almost the exact same language. I would take it more as a predicate. I think he's saying having children who are faithful, as opposed to having faithful children. But same idea. You have the same idea communicated in both those things. Okay? Good? There you go, adjectives. Now let's do a little bit of parsing here, just for funsies. Okay? This is your worksheet. Do you guys not have this? I'm sorry. I should have passed this out. Okay, here you go. It just means breaking it down. Yeah.